Scenario 8, Rape, by Jose, Janine, and Jasmine. Early in the morning on January 10th, Irene Baker, 81 years old, was attacked in her bed by a masked assailant. Threatened with a knife, the elderly woman had no choice but to comply with the attacker's demands. The attacker tied her hands behind her back and raped her. Before he left, the attacker forced Irene to shower off the evidence of his assault, and he himself removed the bed sheets. He threatened her life if she were to inform the police, and Irene believed him. Almost a week later, the sheriff's department was finally contacted, but by a concerned neighbor who allowed the removal of their fence so officers could gain access to Irene without being spotted by passers on the street. Sperm was detected on the mattress pad, leading to a verification oral sample from suspect Nathan Herman. The oral sample and the sperm was a perfect match. To the left is victim Irene Baker, an 81-year-old female who enjoys gardening and reading. She's a retired school teacher and has lived alone in the same house and neighborhood for 40 years. To the right is offender Nathan Herman, a 39-year-old Caucasian male. He has been in and out of prison twice. The police officer of the case has disclosed a few words. She says, "If it weren't for a concerned neighbor, Irene never would have received the justice she deserved. Irene was visibly fearful to allow us into her home. When I asked her about what had happened that night, she was hesitant. I was asleep and forced awake by this man. He had a knife. It was long and slender and had a curved edge like a scalpel. He wore a mask and was dressed all in black. When he raped me, I felt powerless. He took the security of my home, my comfort and silence. I can't go a day without panic." I proceeded to ask Irene what happened after the rape. In her words, she said the man took the bottom sheet of the bed and made her bathe, rid of all evidence. She also said the man threatened to come back if she were to call us. I could tell from the look in her eyes that she was telling the truth, so I called for backup. The forensic team found the semen residue on the mattress and luckily were able to find Nathan Herman, although, once brought in for questioning, Herman was sure of his innocence. "I arrested Nathan Herman on January 17th, says the police officer. Being that he has a criminal record, his DNA was found at the scene, and he neglected to provide an alibi, I felt strongly in my decision. It is in my opinion the offender will not qualify for parole." Here are the questions and responses verbatim found in the interrogation process. "Why did you commit the crime?" Nathan says, "To feel powerful. Women like Irene need to be reminded of their place in this world. They ought to be inferior to men like me. It is a mistake to let them think otherwise." "Do you think it is likely that you will be arrested based on the evidence and your personal characteristics?" Nathan says, "Are you kidding? My sperm on the mattress doesn't prove I am the villain in this scenario. It doesn't prove anything. What of facial recognition? After all, she couldn't have seen my face. Was my sperm found on her person? Were there fingerprints or other DNA remnants to indicate I was there? So to answer your question, no, I do not think I will be arrested." "If you are arrested, will you admit guilt or maintain your innocence?" Nathan says he will maintain his innocence. "I know of my rights. Innocent until proven guilty, and the evidence the little old woman and the police have against me isn't enough." "What do you think will be the outcome of this case?" "Nothing. I don't see any outcome from the case. There won't be a case. I didn't rape anyone, and there is no evidence to dispute that." Here's what the prosecutor had to say. "After reviewing the case of Los Angeles v. Herman as an acting prosecutor for the state of California, I would charge Mr. Nathan Herman with the maximum amount of time for his rape charge. His history of assault with a deadly weapon and carjacking illustrates that Mr. Herman is an increasing threat to society. The charges that I've decided to file against Nathan Herman are that of aggravated sexual assault in the form of rape with the use of a deadly weapon. When a search warrant was granted, the knife identified by Irene was found in Herman's car. I will also be filing charges of emotional and psychological trauma to Irene Baker. His behaviors indicate criminal intent, so I'll be taking the case to court with no offer of a plea bargain." The judge ruling is as follows. "The court has considered the nature and circumstances of the offense and have taken into account the facts presented before me and taken into account the considerations found by the jury. I will rule the following in the case of Los Angeles County v. Herman. I hereby sentence defendant Nathan Herman to a maximum of 8 years in the California State Prison Corocoran of the crime of rape under California Penal Code Pen 261. The defendant will serve his time consecutively without the possibility of parole." Since the defendant, Nathan Herman, has a previous criminal history and has been in and out of prison on 2 separate accounts, it is very likely that future criminality of the defendant will occur if given a minimum sentence or allowed parole. That being said, the judge imposed the highest prison sentence maximum allowed by law due to the level of violence and threats the defendant imposed on the victim. Under California law, 8 years is the maximum sentence allowed given for the facts of this case. However, under new California laws beginning January 1st, 2017, a defendant can no longer be granted felony probation unless in the following 3 circumstances, none of which occurred or applied to this particular case. That being said, here is the case summary with all the events. Now, how discretion was used by each role? Discretion was used by the role as the police officer who decided to arrest the defendant as soon as the victim filed a report rather than wait until DNA results confirmed the match. This was done based on the level of fear in which the victim showed and the likelihood that the defendant could escape or commit another crime due to his past criminal history. The prosecutor used discretion by deciding to take the case to trial without offering a plea deal and imposing the maximum sentence possible. Finally, the judge who used his discretion based on the facts presented and the actions of the defendant to impose the maximum sentence allowed by law and to also deny the possibility of parole. These are the 3 separate roles that our group chose. And that completes our presentation. Thank you.